Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson. It's fantastic to have you with us. My name is Naomi and I'm an English teacher from the UK. It's really great to have you with us. I think we're expecting lots of people from all over the world today, which is really exciting. So wherever you are joining us in the world today, you are so welcome. And I'm really excited to be joining you for my first lesson in the first series of the year 2021. In this series, I'll be looking at how to get you the top band possible in your IELTS writing exam. So, as you know, IELTS stands for International English Language Testing Service. So this test, basically, you will need to pass if you want to study or work in lots of different English-speaking countries. Some examples are in the UK, New Zealand, Canada, Australia, and most recently in the USA. I think they've recently made that a requirement. So, lovely to have you with me. As we've just explained, we'll be looking at IELTS, which is the specialty of this MPub page. And today we will be looking specifically at the writing. So the format of today's lesson, if you are a student from before Christmas, is a little bit different. What we're doing now is half an hour presentation where we will give you the best skills and tips on what to do for your essay. And the second half will be a live Zoom class with a native teacher, with me, with a totally free Zoom class. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is post the Zoom link in the comments. And using that link, you can join our class at 4:30, so in 25 minutes. You can join that class, and basically it's going to be really helpful because I'm going to correct your English and you can get some one-on-one feedback from a native teacher. So I really recommend you do that. And if after that, so I'm just posting that in the description now. And if after that you decide that you want more lessons, then you can send MPub IELTS a message and you can organise a private message. You can organise a private lesson with one of us teachers. Okay, lovely to see quite a few people joining us already. That is fantastic. Some people from Bangladesh, from Turkey. That is lovely. So, without further ado, let's get into today's lesson. As you know, there are 4 parts to the IELTS exam. We will always start with listening. After the listening, you'll go on to your reading, followed by writing, and you will finish with your speaking. Now, they do it in this order to help you. So you really don't have to be nervous about your exam, because if you've prepared correctly, the structure is built perfectly to help you and to just make it as easy as possible for you to get the highest marks that you deserve after all of that hard work. So we'll be looking specifically in this series at that 3rd section you have to do, at the writing. So I recommend, if you have a pen and paper to hand, grab it, make some notes while we do this lesson. Not only to look at afterwards, but as you write notes, it helps you to remember. It helps you to concrete what you're learning at the same time. So I recommend that to you. Now, in the writing section, you will have 2 tasks. Some of you will be doing academic IELTS, and some of you will be doing general IELTS. It's your choice which one you need to do, but we don't need to worry about task 1 today because we're looking at task 2, which is essentially the same for academic and general IELTS. So task 2, what do you have to do? You have to write an essay. The dreaded word essay. No, don't be scared. Essays are not difficult and not long either. You only have to write 250 words, a minimum of 250 words, so no less. If you get less, you will be penalised. You will have marks reduced, but not too much more either. I would say maximum 400 words. I would write about 350 though. 350 is a good number of words. Okay, so today's topic that we will be looking at is just getting it up for you guys. So the topic that we've got today was advertised in the event description, and maybe some of you saw, but it's related to childhood, isn't it? So it could kind of fall under the heading of education, or even of education, or kind of family, childhood, these kind of topics, aren't they? So what I just want to talk about before we carry on is how are we actually just getting it up for you guys. So what are some of the main tips that I can give you guys? Well, the main things are, I have 4 things for you. Okay, so when you get to the writing section, they sound simple, but it's really, really important. Number 1, answer the question. Okay, please answer the question. If you see a word that you know, maybe computer or school or healthcare or information technology, don't write everything you know about that topic. It is tempting. I know students want to do that. They want to show off all of the lovely vocabulary they've learned, but it is not a good idea. The examiners want to see how you can express your ideas in English. So it's really about showing that you can think about topics, about ideas in a developed way, that you have a good analytical brain, and that you can use that in English. So answer the question, number 1. Number 2, plan your answer. Plan your answer. I cannot stress this enough. You basically want to have 3 parts to your essay. First, introduction, then the main text, so about 2 paragraphs, 2 to 3, but roughly there, and finally the conclusion. Okay, introduction, main text, conclusion. I'm just going to try and share this again for you. Oh, no, I'm doing the wrong thing now, aren't I? I just want to present it so it looks a bit nicer for you guys. But my computer's not very happy with this, so we'll just leave it like this. So, essentially, in your planning, what you want to do is ensure about 1/3 of your time is planning. Sounds like a lot, but really, the better your plan is, the better your essay is. That is so true. I'm going to say that again. The better your plan is, the better your essay is. I've been to university. I've got an undergraduate degree and a master's in English-speaking universities. And it applies for everything, for university essays, for letters, emails. If you have a plan, if you know what you're going to say, if you organise your ideas, you will be better at communicating. And what is life about? It's about communicating. You are how you present yourself. that got philosophical very quickly, didn't it? But my point is, plan your essay, please, guys. Number 3, small point, but important. Count your words. Why do you need to count your words? Because you will get marks deducted. Yeah, you will get marks taken off if you don't plan your words. If you don't write, if you write too many words, okay, so you really don't want to be writing less than 250 words. Now, a great way to be confident with this is while you're practicing, while you're revising for the IELTS exam, you basically want to give yourself mock tests. In the month before your exam, I would do a mock test at least once a week, probably twice a week. And in your mock test, include time for to count the words, because this is so important, and counting words really affects your marks. So you don't want that to be something that means you lose marks. It'd just be such a shame. Okay, so we've got one final thing before I move on to the next part. Use the correct tone. Use the correct tone. What do I mean by tone? Well, the tone is the range of your audience. So I'll give you a tip. If you're writing in IELTS Task 2, the tone is always formal to semi-formal. Yeah, the tone is always formal to semi-formal in that essay. So just as when you're writing the letter, and I think this tip is very important for when you're writing the letter. So if you're doing general IELTS, you'll have to write a letter, and there are lots of different contexts that letter could be in. Maybe it's writing to a landlord. It could be writing to a friend. It could be sending a petition to a politician. There are so many different things, and whilst most of them are quite formal, there could be other ones, and you have to gauge, you have to evaluate what kind of tone you have to use. And it's a different type of English for each type of tone, isn't it? In formal English, I will not be using abbreviations. So shortened words like I've instead of I have, or I can't instead of I cannot. Yeah, no I can't in formal essays. And other things, we want to be using connectors, complex structures to make sure that the tone is formal. What is included in that? Well, no bullet points, no note format. It needs to be connected language. Just going to take a moment here to say hi to everyone, to all of my students that joined me for my lessons before Christmas and are back again now. It's lovely to be teaching you all again. And for anybody that's new, welcome to my lesson. Welcome to this page. It's great to have you with us. As I mentioned before, this year we're doing the format a bit differently. First half hour, I'm doing a presentation, and second half hour, we'll move on to Zoom. You can find the Zoom link in the comments. So let's just review those 4 tips before I move on. 1, answer the question. Don't go off on a tangent. Don't write everything you know about a particular topic. 2, plan your answer. 3 parts: introduction, main text, conclusion. 3, count your words. So no less than 250, no more than 350, 400. And number 4, use the correct tone. What tone are we using in IELTS writing task 2? We are using a formal to semi-formal tone, aren't we? Great, so let's get into the juicy part of the lesson. We're going to actually have a look at this IELTS topic that we've got. And before we actually, well, let's have a look at the question first. So we'll have a look at the question here. I'm not actually able to put this in present mode, which is quite a shame. Oh no, I am. Fantastic. Okay, you can all see that, can't you? Okay, great. This is much better. So this is our essay title. I'll just read it out to you, but please read it at home as well. You can start making notes on your ideas on this topic and start making notes, ideas of key vocab and your argument. So, levels of depression and antisocial behaviour in children have increased dramatically in modern societies. This situation has led many people to believe that childhood itself is in crisis. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this view? Okay, let's think back to my 4 tips. What was my first main tip? Somebody is saying that my link in the comment is not working. Let me just send that again. If the link is not working, it is also on the main page. Okay, on the main MPub page, there is a post that says join Naomi's lesson this afternoon at 4:30, and there's a link there as well, but I'm just sending it again there. Please let me know if that works for you. Hopefully it does. So what was my first tip? Answer the question. So let's go back to this question and let's analyse, what is it asking us to do? Well, the question says, to what extent do you agree or disagree with this view? Okay, so we're being told we've got a view stated. Right, first of all, let's check. What do they think? Well, they think that childhood itself, what does that mean? The whole concept of childhood is in crisis. It's in a very bad situation. So I need to analyse, okay, first of all, what is childhood? What defines a good, a happy childhood? Do I think that is in crisis? Can we really talk about the whole world? I probably want to just talk about one area. Maybe I want to talk about my country, somewhere that I am familiar with. So in my case, maybe I would talk about the UK, and I might draw in other examples of places that I've been, or places that I'm a bit familiar with. So I might say, well, I'm already thinking, aren't I? I need to analyse this opinion. I need to say whether I agree or disagree. And another little tip for you guys, it's always better not to just have one clear-cut opinion. So I would advise against, I would say, don't just say, yes, I agree 100%. It is much more convincing if you say, I mostly agree with this, but I can appreciate arguments that say blah, blah, blah. You really want to show that you have analysed both sides to the argument. That is a convincing essay. That is a good essay. Because in life, there are, especially to these kind of topics that you will be asked in IELTS, There's usually not a clear answer. There is room for you to discuss, to debate. And so it's great to show your opinion, but don't stick just to one side. Incorporate the other argument as well. Show that you are listening to the other side. And if you disagree, great. Say you disagree, but why? Give evidence. Okay, Mohammed is saying, I think it works when admin joins. Yes, exactly. So I think the Zoom will only work when I join. So I'll start it and then you guys will come into the waiting room and that will work. Great. So we've got this topic. Before we start looking at planning, okay, so we're actually going to write the essay in the class, in the Zoom class. But before we do that, we're going to look at some essay phrases. So what tone did I say your essay had to be in? Is it casual? Is it semi-formal? No, it's formal. It's formal to semi-formal, but mostly formal. It's an essay, isn't it? So let's look at some of these expressions and connectors. So the first type of connector we have is listing. When I need to make multiple points of relating to the same argument, relating to the same topic. So we have the most common one. We have these kind of three words that we use for related to the numbers. So firstly, used to introduce my first idea. Secondly, used to introduce my second idea. Thirdly, used to introduce my third idea. We do have more. We have fourthly, fifthly, but I would recommend avoiding them. Don't use fourthly, fifthly. In fact, I don't even think that's a word, fifthly. Don't use those. There is power in the number of 3. If you have 3 points, that is powerful. If you go to more than that, you might lose your reader. And remember, it's a short essay. It's only 250 words. You haven't got time to be saying more points. So if you're going to use these connectors, which you don't have to, then just stick to those 3, or you can just use 1 or 2. Then we have furthermore. Personally, this is my favorite. I use this all the time. It's very formal, it's very elegant, and it just really nicely starts a sentence. We always have it at the beginning of a sentence and adds another idea without being messy, without being informal. We don't want to use words like and at the beginning of a sentence, do we? No, furthermore's great. Also, it's simple, it works. I often use it in the middle of a sentence. For example, this argument can also be used with respect to teenagers. I might say that. This is a good one to use for the middle of the sentence, I think. You can use it at the beginning as well. Okay, then we have this one, not only, but also. So this is when we want to include 2 ideas in the same sentence. Normally, the second idea is a bit more surprising. So not only teenagers, but also small children can suffer from depression. Your reader might think, oh, that's surprising, actually. It's quite famous, it's quite well known that teenagers have depression, suffer from depression, but it's more surprising that children do. So we put children second, more surprising. We have, in addition to this, very similar to furthermore or also. So, just an example sentence to see these in context. I've said, firstly, I would like to address the issues surrounding depression in children. Secondly, I will move on to investigate antisocial behaviour in young people. So that's just an example of a way that you can list ideas. I don't have to use 3. Maybe you want to do 3, and then I would stop, no more. Okay, so we've got listing words. Now we have emphasis words. Mashuka's saying, can we use moreover? Yes. Moreover is fantastic. But moreover is kind of also contrast. I think it might be on the next slide. We'll have a look in a sec. So emphasis, highlighting a specific point. In particular, it should be noted that, now I love this phrase. I always use this in written work. It should be noted that. We have especially. We have our example here. In particular, I would like to draw our attention to the role of family in childhood. To the role of family in childhood. Okay. I just want to mention here, lots of people like the word obviously. Please don't use obviously. I really don't advise you to use obviously, because you are showing that you have analytical minds, that you are able to evaluate. Nothing is obvious to the reader. We need to defend and give evidence for every point. So in academic writing, we would not really use obviously. And it's the same for here. I think it's much more convincing if we don't use words like obviously or clearly. This is just my opinion in this type of text. I think they don't work as well. Okay, and a few more before we move on to the lesson. So contrasts. Got 2 different ideas or 2 opposing arguments. I want to contrast them. However, on the other hand, in contrast to and conversely. Conversely is less common, but it's very elegant. Yeah, I really like conversely. So conversely you would use for when you have one argument and the following sentence is directly opposing it. It is the complete opposite. For example, children often need a lot of attention while growing up. Conversely, adults can survive on less attention. Okay, maybe it's a bad example because I think both adults and children need attention, but just an example of 2 contrasting things. Okay, so another example, children should be happy in childhood. On the other hand, maybe it is useful to expose them to the reality of how difficult life can be. So this is just an example of 2 ideas that are contrasting. Okay, this is now the end of our streamed lesson, and we're going to move into the Zoom lesson. So in a minute, I will see anybody who wants to join in our Zoom lesson, where we will be interacting with each other, and I will correct your English and we'll write the answer to this essay together. Okay, so I will see you shortly in the Zoom lesson. The link is in the comments below, and it's also on the MPub page. See you in a minute. Great to have you here.